Hi. Official recaps here. Today I am going to explain a South Korean film called Timer. In the near future, a device will be developed that will allow one to predict when they will meet their soulmate. Many consider it to be the next revolutionary step in digital matchmaking. The Timer facility provides such a service to the general public. They implant a chip in your wrist that counts down the days until you meet your soulmate. When two soulmates are in close proximity, the timer goes off to notify them that they have met. The timer, however, will not begin until both people have the chip implanted in their wrists. Una is a Los Angeles orthodontist with a stopwatch, meaning that her soulmate isn't equipped with one. She's come to the timer office with her new boyfriend to see if he's the one. Because Una is one of their regular customers, the employee named matchmaker Patty is good friends with her. In the hopes of finding her soulmate, Una has brought several guys to the facility. Her boyfriend is clearly nervous before entering because if their timer doesn't match, they will have to call it quits. Patty makes him sign a document and implants the implant in his wrist. It begins to blink almost immediately, indicating that he has 2 years to meet his soulmate. Una looks at her timer, expecting it to begin blinking, but it never does. Her boyfriend is overjoyed that he will meet his soulmate as soon as he graduates from medical school. They break up and go their separate ways after discovering they are not the right match for each other. Steph, Una's stepsister and roommate, has a timer set to 15 years before she meets her soulmate. Steph's lifestyle includes one-night stands with men who are only looking for a fling like her because she can't wait that long. Una is at the grocery store one day when the cashier, Mikey, strikes up a conversation with her. His compliments flatter Una, but she notices that he already has a timer set for a specific date, indicating that he is not her soulmate. Mikey notices her timer as well, but says they can still see each other because soulmates are in the future. The sisters go to their parents' house for dinner at night, but Steph is always late. She notices Una's sadness over her ex-boyfriend and advises her to engage in one-night stands until she finds the one. Everyone at their parents' house is looking forward to their younger brother Jesse getting his timer embedded for the first time. They've even invited a matchmaker to join them in celebrating the occasion. The implant is planted by the matchmaker, and it immediately shows Jess that he only has 3 days to meet his soulmate. Everyone is happy for him, but Una believes it is unjust. She congratulates her younger brother and then departs without waiting for dinner. She returns to the supermarket to meet Mikey. She is hesitant at first, but she goes in anyway. Mikey is taken aback when she asks him out. He quickly requests that his coworker take his place and follows her back to the car. The car ride to Mikey's house is awkward because the two have nothing in common to discuss. When they arrive at Mikey's apartment, they are greeted by 4 of his roommates. The house is littered with beer bottles and tissue papers, making Una reconsider her decision. She also informs Mikey that she will be 30 soon, which she immediately regrets. Mikey persuades her to stay when she is about to leave, and the two finally kiss. But then she notices his timer, which only has 4 months left on it. Una realizes what she is doing is wrong and apologizes before leaving. Mikey shows up at her job the next day as a patient, which surprises her. He assumes she dislikes him because he works as a cashier and explains that he also enjoys music. He tries to persuade her that the timer only shows you a straight path and that life is full of detours. However, Una states unequivocally that he is not the one for her and that she will not waste her time with him. Furthermore, she believes he is betraying his future soulmate. She goes on a blind date with a man at night, but she is clearly bored. He only speaks when she asks him questions, so the date ends abruptly. To get over it, Una goes to a club and runs into Mikey again. He is a drummer in the band performing at the club. After making eye contact, the two end up in Mikey's room at the end of the day. His roommates arrive at the house and disturb them as they make out. Mikey asks everyone to be quiet because this is his only chance with someone like Una, who is way out of his league. Meanwhile, Steph is working as a receptionist at a nursing home when she is approached by a handsome man named Dan. She is interested in him but is let down by the fact that he does not have a timer. At home, she asks Una about her night and is pleased that she has finally found love. She also advises her to never meet him again because she might get hurt. It's finally time for Una's brother to meet his soulmate. His parents eagerly send him to school, but his timer does not ring for the entire day. When he returns home, their housekeeper introduces him to her daughter Soledad, and the timer finally goes off. Soledad's parents leave the premises with her while Jess's mother is excited. Una is on her way home from work in the evening when she is startled by Mikey. She punches him in the face, but quickly recovers, and the two drive back to her house. Una kisses him after ensuring that Steph is not present. They begin dating shortly after that. Una visits his house frequently and befriends his roommates. She informs him about her biological father, a music producer. She hasn't spoken to him since he and his mother divorced. Steph's boss yells at her one day at work for not returning phone calls. Dan deceives him in order to get her out of the situation. He clearly likes Steph, but she doesn't seem to mind. Still, she asks him out with the intention of setting up a date between him and Una. She invites Una to the club in the evening because she hasn't been out in a while. Una regrets not informing Steph about Mikey, but she is afraid of being judged. Steph and Dan wait for Una at the bar for a long time later that day, but she never appears. Instead, she spends her time in her room with Mikey. Steph and Dan have a long conversation. Dan tells her about his late wife, who passed away 3 years ago. He considers her to be his soulmate, so he never had to set the timer on his wrist. They begin to like each other as the conversation progresses. However, when Steph returns home, she is enraged at Una for abandoning her. She notices Mikey in her room and realizes they have been seeing each other in private. When the sisters start arguing about Mikey's timer, things get heated. He interrupts them and reveals that his timer is actually a sticker he purchased in order to feel included. He doesn't believe in timers and would never buy one. Una is stunned and furious at him for lying to her all along. She yells angrily at him to leave. Their time together had only been enjoyable because she expected it to be brief. Now that she realizes he doesn't have a timer, she feels betrayed. She does not try to contact him for the next week, but she is unhappy. She eventually decides to speak with him and apologizes. For Thanksgiving, they gather at Una's parents' house. Their housemaid and her daughter have joined them for the meal. Mikey knows how to communicate in Spanish, so he gets along well with them. Una answers all of her parents' questions about Mikey and refuses to let him speak. She is clearly embarrassed to be in a relationship with someone so young and naive. Meanwhile, Dan and Steph meet a few times and begin dating. Una, on the other hand, is still undecided about Mikey. Her mother also encourages her to find out if Mikey is her soulmate as soon as possible. He unexpectedly confesses his feelings for her one day, but Una panics and flees. She and Steph then pay a visit to Una's biological father, Rick. They are greeted by a young woman who is Rick's girlfriend. Because Una hasn't spoken to him in a long time, the first few minutes are awkward. Then she asks him flatly why he never got a timer. The man shows her his wristwatch and tells her he has one, but he still has time to meet his soulmate. Then his girlfriend informs them that she removed her timer because she loves Rick and doesn't care what the timer says. The sisters are inspired by her, so they rush to have theirs removed, vowing to live their lives without relying on a pointless countdown. Kate, the matchmaker, is taken aback when she learns that the girls want to remove their timers. She and the manager warn them that once the device is removed, it cannot be replanted, so this is their last chance to find true love. Steph says she doesn't mind and finally takes hers off. But when it's Una's turn, she pauses. The timer begins to beep seconds before it is removed. Her soulmate had his timer embedded right then and there. Una has only 5 hours to meet him. She decides to leave it on out of curiosity, but Steph becomes enraged. Their shared birthday is the following day. Una's countdown ends at night, indicating that she will meet her soulmate the next day. Their mother plans a birthday celebration for the two of them. She has invited both Dan and Mikey. Steph is the first to arrive at the house and spends time with Dan. Mikey, on the other hand, is busy translating a conversation between Una's mother and the housemaid. They decide to stay as boss and employee and let their children take their relationship forward on their own. When Una arrives at the party, her timer matches Dan's, indicating that he is her soulmate. Steph storms off to the kitchen, while Mikey departs for his house. Dan follows Steph behind her and inquires about her well-being. Una joins the two in discussing the situation. Steph starts yelling at Una for always getting what she wants in life. She believes Una has taken Dan, the only person she has ever been interested in. The sisters fight, which ends when Una tells Steph that she is her best friend and that she does not want Dan. Dan tells Steph that he got a timer because it was important for her and that he doesn't care about her sister after Una leaves. Una goes to Mikey's house the next morning to meet him. She shows him that she removed her timer in order to be with him. Mikey is initially perplexed, but eventually kisses her. Steph wakes up Una the next day, and they work out their differences. In the final scene, Una goes for a run and, by chance, meets Dan. After a while, they realize they have a lot in common. However, they eventually laugh and part ways. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.